Hello, my name is Aaron, and I am the educator part of the Gladiator and The Educator podcast. We generally don't put warnings or trigger warnings or content warnings in front of our content here at the Create at Morgan studio. However, the episode that you have the opportunity to listen to today does discuss depression, suicide, suicidal ideations, and content within that, but through the lens of an organization here in Fort Morgan called Break the Silence, which is an organization primarily focused on suicide intervention, suicide prevention, and suicide awareness. So please approach this content carefully. If it's an issue for you, we would encourage you to approach this content at a time when you are able to better listen and process it at that time. Thank you for listening.
And if you put it back here,
Yeah, but if you don't talk into it, Ernie, people can't hear you.
all right, just making sure.
Okay, well, my name is Aaron. My name is Aaron. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again until I believe it. All right, my name's Aaron, and this is
Ernie Marquez.
And we're the Educator and the Gladiator, and this is the Educator and the Gladiator podcast. However, we are not the focus of today's podcast. Today, we have
Kelly Paris.
Okay, and y'all are from what organization?
Break the Silence.
City of mine, how I love the city of mine.
I was born in the city, I was raised on its edges. My pop worked his life when it's complex. I found love in its center. If I could live here forever, think it'd be for the better. I love the weather, I love the people. This is a city I met all my best friends, and I wanna thank every break. I wanna thank every entrance to every building that I step in this city of mine.
City of mine, how I love this city of mine.
So tell me, for those of you who do not know what Break the Silence is, what is the mission? What is the organization Break the Silence all about?
So Break the Silence was created to raise awareness for suicide prevention and mental health, and we use music as a platform to build community events to bring the community together to talk about the hard stuff. So we started in 2017 as a music festival. Our first annual Music is Life was the name of the business that I had at that time to do our Break the Silence Suicide Awareness Festival. So it went over amazingly well. We had a huge support system from the very get-go. And in 2019, we were able to rebrand ourselves as Break the Silence as a fully functioning nonprofit 501c3.
What was your, like, there's a reason behind everything that starts. Ernie's story with his Gladiator gym is his parents and his journey from Pueblo to here and all of that. What is your journey to Break the Silence?
So I started Break the Silence specifically because I have always struggled with mental health, and I have struggled with suicide ideation. I've lost family members and friends to suicide, and I was almost a statistic at age 16. I was bullied in school. I had turned to drugs at a really young age, substituted substances, if you will, until like my early 30s, and I was tired of suffering in silence. And I know that there's a lot of people who struggle and are afraid to talk about it, or don't know how to talk about it, don't know how to ask for help. So, yeah, we're here to say it is okay not to be okay, and together we can make a difference. So let's speak up about it.
And the person next to you obviously also has a story of why they're here. What brought you to this organization and to this mission?
My kids, obviously they suffer quite a bit with mental health, and my son also has suicidal ideation. And I've been friends with Kelly for a very, very long time, and I've always supported her in this journey. So just being here to be able to help her with this and help my kids, and suicide has also been very close to me and my heart, that I, couldn't say no to the opportunity to help with this organization. So I came on in 2020 through the pandemic and helped her bring the festival to life last year. And that's kind of how I came along in this.
That's very cool. There's always this conversation, and this is what a conversation myself and Ernie and other members of the gym have had. A lot of times, finding people who you're not alone. Like, you're not alone in struggling with weight, or you're not alone in struggling with depression or these things, and all of a sudden someone says, hey, by the way, we're doing this thing, and you should come and check it out. That's how I ended up in the gym, because someone was like, hey, we do boxing, and it's really good for you. I was like, what? Okay, sure, I'll show up. And 8 months later...
I had one question.
Go ahead.
I heard both of you guys talk about like a suicidal ideation. Is that the term you used?
Yes.
What exactly is that?
It's basically you have thoughts about suicide, but you don't want to actually commit the act and fully go through with it. In my son's case, he likes to think about death and think about suicide and things like that, but he is really afraid of death. He is really afraid of dying.
I see. That's just a term I've never heard before.
Yeah, it's actually a diagnosis.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That is interesting.
Yeah, so he'll never, in my eyes, I don't think he'll ever actually commit the act.
I see.
I think that he just kind of fantasizes about it a little bit.
And that kind of, it's a good question, Ernie. I appreciate that, because I had remembered kind of the term, but others may not. So that's a good call. What is the need in this community? Because I mean, you look across the country, and yeah, we've got suicide awareness, we got all these things, but specifically Fort Morgan, and both of you can speak to this if you like, or either way. Why do we need this in Fort Morgan and Morgan County, and why is it important?
I'll let Kelly take that one.
So, yeah, the need is real across the nation. The need is real across the state. But for northeastern Colorado specifically, we have the most rise in the statistics of young lives lost to suicide. There was, I believe, 9 young lives lost to suicide in like a 6-month time period in northeastern Colorado. So that's like a 10-county district, if you will. And it's kind of one of those things where people don't know it's happening unless you talk about it. And a lot of the kids are struggling through the pandemic. They're not getting social interaction with their friends. They're not getting to go to school. We're not getting to go out and, go to the parks and stuff like that. So we saw a huge, rise in it. And I was told by the coroner that the number of suicides in Morgan County alone for the year of 2020 was well above 2017, 18, and 19 combined.
Ouch.
So yeah, I don't have the exact numbers on that, but it is something that a lot of people they're not aware that it is as bad it is, but they're also not as aware of what resources that we do have available and what Break the Silence is about, what we're doing, why we're doing it. So thanks for having us on, you guys.
Absolutely. I guess another question might be, so, and this is something that, so I moved here from Denver 3 years ago, and Denver has there's a lot of stuff in Denver. There's a lot of resources, schools and everything. But I think you're right is that sometimes in rural communities, it's the expression is lack of education, but it's not that people are not educated and smart. It's that they don't know about depression. They don't know about the suicide. They don't know about the varying levels of it and what it can lead to. Not only that, but kind of what you spoke about with our young adults and our young kids. This has been a unique challenge with this pandemic situation, and you have a lot of kids who, because when they go into school, they're with their friends every day. They get an 8 hours with them. They get to hang out with them, and that's every day. So they got that. You take that away, suddenly now you're a kid who has to stay at home and can't go into school, can't hang out with their friends because all their friends don't live right around the block. Maybe they're out in the country. Maybe they're on a county road, and their bike, they can't ride their bike down to Main Street because that's a long way.
Yep.
So there is a lot of, I think we're not, like you said, we're not aware of how, this is not to sound like fear-mongering, but dangerous that this pandemic has been for a lot of kids who may not know how to express themselves and they may not even know what's going on with themselves, because kids are not aware of, oh my gosh, I'm depressed.
Yeah,
They're just
absolutely.
like, I feel really down. So I guess that can slide into this next conversation of how do you talk to people who they might just say, man, I've just been feeling down, or I'm just really tired, and they talk about the symptoms of what we know as depression.
Yeah.
How do you talk to them? And if you were to talk to them now, it's like, hey, if you're experiencing this, or like if you think this is happening, here's how to work through this, here's how to identify that without becoming suicidal ideated and all those kinds of focused on that thing.
Right.
How do you approach that with someone who is maybe not aware of what those symptoms are without
Exactly.
freaking them out and going, what are you talking about? I'm not that way. It's like, well, it's not
Yeah.
that you're that, but it's...
And a lot of people have the misconception that if you talk about it, you plant the seed in somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work that way, actually. When you talk about it and you let them know, hey, it's okay to talk about it, it's different for every person. I've literally talked to hundreds of people.
Yeah.
It's different for every person. You know, what I try to do is, relate to the experiences. Hey, this is what I've been through. This is what helped me. What are you open? Are you open to talking about it? How, what exactly is going on? And I will go through like a list of, let's say, issues. Somebody has money issues, their doctor bills, they're sick, they have anxiety or depression, or they lost their job or something. And I will just put like an order of importance. Okay, so how many things can you actually control? How many things can you not control? What is the order of most importance on getting these things figured out? Take one at a time. It's not so overwhelming. And then when you start to see progress, oh, I finished this, I knocked this out, I got the debt consolidation program, I started seeing a counselor, I started going to the gym and working out, I got a new job. So when you break it down into like a little to-do list, if you will, makes it a lot easier, less overwhelming.
One of the things that I notice with people, you ask them, you can know something's going on with them. You ask them, you all right? Everything good, man? What's going on with you? You all right? You all right? Knowing that they don't know that you know that something's going on, and they're, oh, everything's good, I'm all right, yeah, I'm good, man, yeah, everything's all right. Or even the ladies, I'll say, hey, everything's okay, yeah, I'll be fine, it's okay, just, what is some of the best ways to get somebody to open up and not just, because that's one of the hardest things that I see people, yeah, I'm good, then before you know it, something bad happens to where there's, suicide, just bad stuff going on. I almost went there.
These ladies will probably give like a very like detailed, like, this is how you do it. For me, it's like I just kind of look and I go, really? No. Let's try that again. Or, hey, like I've done this with middle school kids when I taught middle school. They're like, I'm okay. I'm like, and I give them a look, and they're like, no, you're not. Let's go. Like, come here. Let's go over here for a second.
Exactly.
One thing that's hard is most of it,
I'll call you out, bro.
I like that, but a lot of it though is we're in a digital world, so you're getting text and you can't really see emotion through text. So no, I'm good. Everything's all right. Everything, you just get that text and you're not getting any. That's one of the hard
That's
things.
a good question. How do you break through and then kind of start the process of reaching out to somebody? I mean, in person, you just say, I'm calling you out, bro. Like, no, you're not okay. Let's come over here for a second. Like, let's really be honest, okay? But when you're texting or you're calling or you're Snapchatting, like, how do you guys suggest someone goes about that?
Well, for me, I'm like, are you sure? Is there anything that you want to talk about? And I check on people regularly. If it's somebody that I know, even if I notice this post is off or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, are you doing all right? Oh, no, I'm so glad you reached out. This is what's going on. Well, how can I help you? And it's all about just letting them know that you're not alone, that I understand. And I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's kind of like you just want to say, are you sure?
Yeah, just reassure them, just to get them to open up. Because that's one of the things I see. Like I said, I know people, even family members, where I know something's going on in their life, and you ask them, everything good? Yeah, I'm all right today. And it's like, okay, you're right. Are you sure? And it's
Today, you're
today,
okay,
but yeah, you know what's wrong. It's just it kind of it breaks my heart that people are so afraid to talk about it. And I don't know if it's just they're afraid to have somebody talk about them, or somebody behind their back talking about them, or what it is, or what they're afraid of. But I wish I would love more advice from you to get people to open up.
So yeah, it's that stigma. I mean,
That's
before the pandemic, things were already at like crisis levels. So moving through the pandemic and people losing their businesses, losing their, homes, their jobs, kids not being able to go to school. It just made it so much harder. And it's a new normal for everyone. So, I mean, just being able to say, look, guys, I understand. I've been there. I've been at the bottom. You know, I've been inside of that hole that you're in, and I can help you out. I know the way. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even if you can't see it right now. Keep walking towards it.
I love it. I love it.
My principal, I think one of you was talking about how you take it one thing at a time. You can't solve everything all at once. She uses the expression of, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
And that helps people go, oh, okay, yeah. So I just do this one thing, and I eat this one thing, and then I put it away, and I can take the next bite. I can go for the ankle. I can go for the trout, or the trout, the snout. The snout.
Dude.
That's what a trout.
Trunk.
I combined
What's that
trout and
word?
snout, and I don't even know what I was doing. But you know what I was.
You were fishing?
I was fishing. I want to go fishing right now. That's where I want to be. But that's an expression that sometimes helps. It helps me. So like we had to reinvent our curriculum and a lot of stuff this year at the school, and I was like, "There's so much to do." And my principal's like, "How do you eat an elephant?" I was like, "I don't know." She's like, "One bite at a time."
You don't eat an elephant.
It's the same though, like how do you build a wall?
Yeah.
One brick at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
I
do
hear-
you walk? One step at a time.
I actually had a conversation with a toddler today. He was helping me move my classroom around, and he was like, "I can move everything." I was like, "Hold on, one step at a time." And it was funny. He's like 3 years old, and I could hear him going, "One step at a time," as he was moving things under his breath, because it is a helpful thing. It's I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can.
Like Thomas the Train.
Yeah.
Exactly. You are the little train that could, or whatever it is.
The little engine that could.
Little Engine That Could. Well, Thomas is also a good show for that. I mean, it's an encouragement. You're combining stuff now. It's catching.
Yes, and she took notes, so I know she's got something. To talk about.
Let's go to your notes. What are some things that you think this community, our boxers, our Fort Morganers, like what do we need to know about Break the Silence and what's coming up, and how can people be involved, and why should people get involved? Give me what you got. Tell me the whole story. Go.
So yeah, we're excited because it's going to be our 5th year doing the Suicide Awareness Festival, and we are pulling out all of the stops. We are going over the top, just because we can.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, that's what I just said earlier. So we are always looking for volunteers. We are always looking for sponsorships and donations towards the cause, because the festival is a free event, free all ages event. We have resources available. We'll have vendors available, kids games. We're doing a beer garden. We're having a really cool show and shine and poker run for all bikes, cars, any modes of transportation. We are doing some really great things. We're bringing our first ever comedian, so Comedy Works comedian. We're really excited. Benny Montez, you guys look him up. He's so funny. We are doing some really cool local Colorado bands, Fort Morgan bands. So Midnight Shakedown is coming over from Denver. They're going to be like a mountain blues band. We're having Juke Joint Cruisers, which they are at Fort Morgan, really cool rockabilly band. New Wave Time Machine is going to be 80s cover band, you guys. It's totally fun. So we're hosting When Dark, which was formerly Thousand Years Wide, out of St. Joe, Missouri. So we're happy to have those guys back. We just signed on Brandon Mendenhall and the Mendenhall Experiment out of Los Angeles. Guys, look this up. It is amazing. So Sumerian Records did a documentary on him a couple years ago. He has cerebral palsy, and he's killing it as a guitar player, like totally slaying it. And so they just got a new female singer. It's going to be a whole new show, all new music. So they travel around, play music to raise awareness for disabilities. So we're having 3 Pill Morning coming back as well out of Minneapolis. And our buddies from Adelita's Way out of Vegas, they just killed it last year as our headliner. So we're so happy to have those guys back. It's always something that is sure to bring the community together. There's a lot of tears. There's happy tears. There's sad tears. You know, it's a very powerful thing. We are doing our memory wall again, which that's a very popular piece of the festival, and unfortunately it has like tripled in size.
Yeah, it's how big it's getting every year. Like, we actually need a new one, I think.
Yeah,
And
we are
that's-
2-sided. We have like a 6 by 8 foot memory wall. So yeah, it's
Well, I think if there's any indication of how much of an impact suicide is having on our community, that's I mean, that's the sad part about it. It's like, you don't want that wall to grow. Like it hurts to have that continue to be a thing that you have to expand.
So many friends that we've lost just even in this community, you know, and I lost my cousin in September of 2019. So it's hard to know that, I mean, nobody's immune.
Yeah.
It doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
Suicide, mental health, mental illness, it doesn't discriminate. So we are adding for the first time this year as well a silent auction. So if anybody has anything that they wanted to donate for that would be really awesome. We are building a team of volunteers. We're trying to try to be much more organized this year, right?
Yeah.
Good luck. That's always fun.
Well, and I think that could even be a call to our gladiator boxers of like, look, you want to step in the ring, you want to be a part of this gym, but hey, there's a community out there that needs our help, that needs our numbers to show that hey, this is important to us, and that's something that we can issue a challenge to our boxers. But I would challenge it to anybody listening. The idea of a suicide awareness festival or weekend, it can be a sad thing, but the reality of it is, if we don't, to borrow the phrase from your organization, if we don't break that silence, in the silence is where it lives.
Yeah,
And
so many people are suffering in silence. It's like you don't have to, you can talk about it. It's that stigma. Ernie's been a huge support from the very get-go. These guys busted their butts.
Yes.
And set up a booth and sold food and got everything in line with the health department, and it was it's something that we've always had the support from the gladiators, and we are super excited, guys. Let's talk about the
next
gladiators.
event, the following weekend.
Yeah, so the Gladiators, I'm super excited because we are working with Ernie in the Fort Morgan Gladiators Boxing Gym. They are hosting Break the Silence, Fight for Your Life. So it's going to be a boxing show, and it's going to be a veteran and first responders appreciation show.
Where we're going to have suicide awareness resources downstairs, suicide prevention, mental health. And Kelly and Tabitha with their organization are going to provide all of that, and they're amazing with that. And we're going to be fighting upstairs in the ring.
And we're having an 80s after party with
80s after party, yes. They're going to do a cover band.
Which one of you likes 80s music? Because I'm sensing a theme.
Yes.
Like, I just love music, dude. For me, it actually started at 90s, like late 80s, early 90s country. Won't lie. And I'm still a geek for it. Total geek for it.
There's no other country than 80s or 90s country.
I love music.
It's like all the stuff.
It's so funny. Yeah. I just, for me, it's always been music, and there's just so many genres, and I'm a heavy metal fan. I love hard rock and roll, heavy metal. And so for me, it's kind of like I've stuck my pin in that, but there's so many other genres and so many people out here who love different things. So we are trying to mix it up, and we are trying, and like the guys with New Wave Time Machine were a crowd favorite last year too. So that was pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So bringing the comedian, that's going to be new. We're excited about the boxing show. We have so much fun stuff coming up. We actually are expanding Break the Silence into other cities. Okay. And we have coined, thanks to one of our volunteers and like our brain sesh. Thank you. Our Life is Beautiful series, which is going to be venue shows in other cities. So we are doing our first Life is Beautiful venue series show at the Aggie Theater
in Fort Collins.
Yeah, I'll let Tabby tell you about that.
No.
Nice.
Because I'll mess it up.
I was contacted by a nationally touring band out of Louisville. They're signed to Pavement Records, and they said, hey, we're building a tour, and we want to stop in Colorado.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we want to work with Break the Silence. Can we make that happen? And I was like, yes. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Let's do it.
That is awesome.
So we have actually come on with our presenting sponsor, which is Tito's Handmade Vodka. And we'll be holding that at the Aggie with Lane's Calling out of Louisville. We're working with Bound by Years out of Denver, a Vintage Future out of Fort Collins, and then Sin on 6 out of Denver. So we'll have resources, guest speakers available for all these events. So yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff going on.
Nice.
Amazing.
Anything else you guys want to throw in at the end here?
Yeah. When can we come back?
Yes. We're gonna set up.
Well,
another
I
one.
was
When
gonna.
can we come back? And we do have our bracelets back.
Oh yeah,
and
just got some
we're gonna have a lot more cool swag.
Nice.
really
coming.
cool, dude. Tabby, she's my right hand woman behind the scenes, guys. I really couldn't do it without her, for real. We have a great board. We have Tyler Holt as our president and Jason Crispin as our treasurer. So those guys are, we wouldn't have Break the Silence without all these guys filling all the paperwork and doing the hard stuff.
We will have to do an episode again because I
Yeah.
think there's a lot more to talk about, and
Yeah.
especially in
Yes,
this
there is.
community.
So we do have our bracelets. Those guys are 2 for $5. We
Okay.
have lanyards coming, hand sanitizers, T-shirts, all kinds of fun.
All kinds of swag.
Yeah,
Merch store with plenty
stickers.
more to come.
Yep.
That's exciting. Well, it has been an absolute, pretty much a privilege and honor just to have this conversation. I think that's the kind of, having this discussion even further is very important because, again, to borrow your organization's phrase, I think breaking the silence is key because the more we talk about it, the less silence there will be. It will be an actual, hey, like, let's talk about this openly versus, oh, I don't really want to talk about
We
this.
come with the noise. Break the Silence is very loud.
Very loud.
And I like, how did I forget? We're also like working to get into the communities. We're working with youth groups, talking to the kids about bullying, suicide prevention, mental health
Nice.
awareness training. So building assemblies for the school, that's where we could work together. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
So
We'll hook you up.
let's do that.
All right. Well, this has been the Educator and the Gladiator. Actually, sorry, let me reverse that. This has been the Gladiator and the Educator. It's Ernie
Cool.
first always. My name is Aaron,
And I'm Ernie.
I'm Kelly Paris.
I'm Tabitha.
and thank you both for joining us and bringing the information and the knowledge and all that stuff to us.
And we will be back with you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having
Thank
us. This is really
you.
fun.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Yep.
Cool.
Bye.
This has been In the Ring with the Gladiator and the Educator. If you have questions, send the show an email, gladiator@fortmorgangladiators.com. For more information on the gym and our classes, go to www.fortmorgangladiators.com. We offer all kinds of classes for all kinds of folks. Thanks for listening to our program. Team Gladiator, always.